Hi. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit different than what I'm used to. Hi, how are you? Hope you're doing okay. Everything is going cool for you. I'm fine. Fine. If you wanna know. For the first time ever, I'm fine now. Obviously. Doing great. Where are my notes? Thank you very much for your concern about my well-being. This is gonna be the first video of its kind on the channel, and I'm excited for it. This one is from a fellow book talker. So her name is Sabine, and we decided to do an exchange. An exchange? What the heck is wrong with your tongue? Jesus. Lord help me. So we decided to do an exchange challenge thingy, and I have suggested two books. We started with one. She suggested me one, and I one for her. And then we did a live together, which was so fun. And if you watch this, thank you again so much for the suggestion. She suggested it. Thank you again so much for the live suggestion and for the company. I really like planned on doing like a 20-minute or something, and then we ended up talking for like 2 hours. So thank you so much for the company. You were so sweet and amazing, and yeah, it was very entertaining, and I hope we can do it again soon. During the live, we ended up recommending each other 2 more books, like a plus for her and a plus for me. I suck at explaining things today. I am sorry. I have not slept. She recommended me a book that I've been waiting to read. It's not like I've been waiting to read it. It's been on my TBR forever, and that's exactly what I told her. It's been on my TBR for like since it came out, I think, or after I read The Six of Crows and I fell in love with them. It's a Leigh Bardugo book. It's been on my TBR forever, but my TBR just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the books that were there before, I'm so sorry, but they've kept being pushed down and down and down and down. But this is a sign from God. So Sabrine recommended for me Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm going to just jump in. She told me it's a dark academia. She told me that it's beautifully written. She told me that it has the good parts of the duology, but it's not in the Grishaverse. So I'm excited about that. I know for sure though that this was Leigh Bardugo's first adult fiction book. I'm excited for that. Let's go ahead and start with Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Oh my god. Hi. I'm very sick. I'm very slow. You're crooked. I've been sick for the last, oh my god, my voice is fucking awful. I've been sick for the last like a week or something. And it's finally starting to get better. This is better. I know, kill me. I'm sorry if you can hear people yelling in the background. It's because people are yelling in the background. I'm also sorry if you can hear my insides dying. It's because my insides are dying. I have a lot of notes about this book, and I've never hated myself for taking so many notes, because I have to tell you all of this, and I don't want to. I want to. To be honest, I haven't filmed in a while, and I miss you. It's so weird. I miss just sitting and talking to you. So we are following Alex Stern, who was an addict living in a low income, in the ghetto. She was living in the, well, in like a little better than the ghetto. She was also a survivor in an unsolved homicide. And here comes Mother Teresa in the form of a very pretentious white dude named Darlington, offering Alex a full ride into Yale, where there are secret societies in which Alex is tasked to monitor. And fun fact, Leigh Bardugo went to Yale and she was part of Yale's secret society, so this is pretty fucking cool, like the mixing up of what happened to her in real life. I think that's a fact. I'm gonna check it. If it's not, I'm gonna edit this part out, because I sound so dumb right now. Blame it on the meds. I'm really not in my head right now.
It's just like cool how she intertwined her own life and added the fantasy occult aspect. I really like that. Kill me. I'm not gonna lie, at first I really had a hard time getting into it. It took a couple of chapters to just really not want to close the book. I love the plot a lot. I love the inclusion of something real with the occult. I love the contemporary mixed with the urban fantasy. I like how that was done. I like there was no dichotomy between it. There's no hard line between it. I thought it was done very smoothly. However, this is not made for neurodivergent people. I've got autisms. And yeah, it's not made for a divergent brain at all. It's as if the author starts off expecting you to understand everything that's happening or that happened, and you just like are thrown, that's how it feels, are thrown in the middle of a situation with no further or no explanation, and the explanation takes forever, and when you get the explanation, I'm already bored and tired. It's expecting us to already know things, which for a neurodivergent brain, it's a little confusing, and no, it is not my understanding of it. To be honest, after reading Gravity's Rainbow, I feel like every book that I felt that was confusing is the writing's fault, because I loved Gravity's Rainbow. But yeah, it's not my understanding, it's just the pacing of it, the writing of it. It's just confusing for the sake of nothing. There is a dichotomy, however, between Alex's world before and after she met Darlington, and we keep going back and forth in the current day-to-day, and then last spring, last winter, last summer. And it's just a little bit boring, the back and forth, because it doesn't really serve much. The pacing of it, the difference between the back and forth, the hopping back and forth, it's not prominent enough, and it's slow. It's slow to the point where I get bored so easily, and I need something stimulating, and to me at least this is not stimulating. We do have some stimulating scenes here and there, mostly when we meet a dead body, a cadaver we have to investigate or something like that, and I really like those parts, because it gets me all giddy, and oh my god, dead bodies get me giddy, what am I saying? But it gets me all giddy, and it's stimulating to my brain. However, the rest of it, it's so easy to be bored by it. The plot in itself is so fantastically excellent, but the execution of it, it's just left me wanting so much more. It reminds me of Rivers of London, but dark academia and not as good. I love the Rivers of London series. A lot of layers that I kept finding while reading that I thought were outstanding. Also, the book moves between seasons, like I said, last seasons and the current present time. And none of them are inclined to be dogmatic, which is very interesting. It makes the story a little bit more interesting. There is an unreliable narrator type POV in this book that for a neurodivergent person, it needs to be done in a specific way. Unfortunately, I recently read Bunny that has an unreliable narrator. Please focus on my face, I'm very sick. Thank you so much, feel bad for me. But Bunny has an unreliable narrator POV, and it was, for my type of brain at least, my type of neurodivergency, it worked, and it kept me intrigued, it kept me there, it kept me entwined in its word, and it kept me between the lines. This one does not work for my brain. Unreliable narrator in this one is just tedious. It needs, unfortunately, to be done in a specific way to be mind-opening and exciting rather than confusing. The magic system is It's very interesting. I quite liked it actually. I thought it was unique. There was one part of it that I really enjoyed. They're called address moths, where you put them on something and they suck up all the ink, and then you send them somewhere, they sit on it, and then they sit on it. Stop. And then they release all the ink back. And Darlington showed us that with Alex's tattoos. Like, he had the moths on her skin and all her tattoos went into the moths, and that is actually a Norse, I think it was Norse folklore, but it's done with bees. If you don't know them, bees are considered to be messengers between life and death. They, you know how in Samhain the veil lifts, so basically they can go between life and death, and you'd use them to send messages to your dead ones. And it reminded me of that, and if it was inspired by something like that, then I like the author's interpretation of it. It is ideally displayed and packaged. Everything that I would particularly enjoy, or mostly generally enjoy, but I still didn't as much as I could have because of the execution. And that's, I think, because I have seen what Leigh can do. I loved the Grishaverse. I loved Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom so much, and I was expecting so much more, and I didn't get what I was expecting. But what I've seen from her before gave so much more plot-wise, dialogue-wise, character-wise, building-wise, like interest-wise. It just pulls you in. This one does not. This one does not. It just felt restrained. It felt held back. To be honest, had it not been Leigh Bardugo, I would have DNF'd. It's very easy to get infatuated by the premise of the story and by the entirety, the plot as a whole of the book. This is magical realism, urban fantasy, the occult, historical retelling. Combination that it thrills me, it excites me, it's exhilarating. Excites me fervently, actually. However, the execution is it's lacking. It succeeded in being an adult urban fantasy. In my opinion, it's not as dark as some people had me believe that it's gonna be, to me at least. I mean, it's all subjective, but it's not as dark at all as I was expecting it to be, which is okay. I'm indifferent about that. It doesn't have to be dark to be good. It's just not. So if you've liked before the books that I recommended, just know, if you like, we have the similar taste, just know that this is not as dark as it ought to be. So there was a little like cringe moments, but they felt a bit natural. That's one thing that I liked. It didn't feel like I was reading about characters. They felt natural. However, there's a lack of dialogue that made it tedious. I wish there was more dialogue, and I know Leigh can give more dialogue and awesome dialogue, because Six of Crows, the entire Grishaverse, well, I only read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, but it is character driven. The dialogue in Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom is one of the best form of banter that I've read ever. It's so fun, it's so interesting, it's so mind opening, it's very playful, it's very exciting, it's very easy to get lost in. But there was none of that here, and I understand that this isn't supposed to be the same vibe, but you know, some aspects are just necessary to make a book fun. I don't understand Alex. Right to the end of the book, I don't understand her. I don't understand her motives. I don't understand what's driving her. I don't understand where she's coming from. It seems like she's just doing shit, dog. Like, she's just doing shit. Like, every day, whatever happens, she's just going with it and doing shit, and I just don't understand her motives nor her logic. There was also an essay scene that made me very uncomfortable. It feels like it was just there for some reason, but it was just there. I don't understand why it was there. I don't understand why it was necessary. I'm a huge avid, whatever the fuck the word is, I'm a huge supporter of stuff like this in media done right. It boggles my brain when they're not done right, and this was not done right at all, in my opinion. The entire scene was just lackluster. If you can say an essay scene is lackluster, if you know what I mean. It just needed more. There was a scene with her roommate, and then the reaction, the proper reaction lasted like a second, and then she's back to being normal. I'm not gonna spoil, but it was just weird. It just felt unnecessary. It was just there to build some sort of trauma to the character, and it just felt weird. Aside though, I see how people can really like this. It's just not the case for me. Though I am excited about the next one. It is called Almond. I'm not gonna go ahead and research anything about it. I just got my copy and she already told me what it's about. I'm just gonna start reading when I can, when I don't feel like the bubonic plague anymore. And then talk to you when I'm done. It's been a while. I'm still sick. Before I start talking about the book, a huge thank you to Brandon. Thank you for the company. I've been very sick and you've kept me company with all your weirdly confusing stories and pets. Thank you. I appreciate it. So as suggested by Sabrine, I've read Almond by Won Pyong-sung. This was such an interesting fucking read. I texted the girl, I texted you, Sabrine, the girl, God, that is so disrespectful. I'm delirious because of the COVID, I'm sorry. I texted Sabrine in the middle of the book because of how fucking relatable it was to me. It is to me. I have BPD, I have borderline personality disorder, and I am on a spectrum. Let's just talk about the book and then let's go back to me. I'm so fucking autistic. Everything has like to be about me. Anyways. Following Yunya, who was born with alexithymia, where an almond-shaped neuron in the back of your head is malformed, and that is the part responsible for feelings like panic, fear, anger, stuff like that. So, I have BPD, which means, if you don't know, then BPD is something that is actually like physically happening in your brain. It is a personality disorder, it's not a mental illness. And it also means that I have a reduced volume in my amygdala and a malformed hippocampus and a medial temporal lobe, which are basically the part responsible for making decisions, logic, and responsible for feelings and emotions, which is why people with BPD have a difficult time with emotions. We feel too much and we don't know how to express all of that. And it comes out in ways, interesting ways. To express what I wanted and what I liked was hard, because to do it, I'd need extra energy. It was like paying first when there was nothing I wanted to buy, and when I had no idea what anything cost. It was as overwhelming as trying to make big waves on a serene lake. I did not expect to feel so fucking related to this. It is basically the reverse of what I physically feel. Yunya has a really difficult time. Not a really difficult time, an impossible time. He does not feel fear, he does not feel anger, and you sort of follow this boy that doesn't feel these things. But for me, it's the reverse. I feel everything too much with a lack of empathy towards other people. The first thing that I don't know, that popped into my head while reading the book is that it is so interesting to see the author's take on the book. How am I going to write a book, a full book, following a boy? It is first person without having him feel anything. But it did not feel like it was shut out at all, like it's cut off at all. There was no schism, there was no dichotomy, there was no line, there was no clear border between this and that, between parts. It all felt smooth in my opinion, and I really loved that. This is my first book ever by Won Pyong-sung, and I am extremely impressed. I loved it. The writing, at least, is something that I loved it so much. I loved their take on it. It wasn't much of a surrounding Korean culture, but whatever we had, a little bit of different places and mostly food, I really liked. I want more, and I'm sure that there is more from the author. I didn't think that it was lacking at all. I loved the surrounding Korean culture that we did have, and it didn't feel as if I needed more. It was a perfect It was a perfect setting. Every setting that was set, it was perfect in my opinion. It led us where we needed to focus, which is the character. This is highly character driven. So we're following HIYA, and then we follow him as he gets into this weird little incident that leads him to make his first friend. He has an extremely difficult time making friends. He doesn't understand it, which is so freaking well done. It is so good to read about someone so different, but presented so normally. His little inside conversations, like in his head conversations, his little inner monologue trying to figure out what is the appropriate feeling in certain times. I had read most of this with a huge smile on my face. The ending, this is the only negative that I have after I finished the book, is that the ending felt a little bit rushed, a little underwhelming. It just felt rushed for me at the end. But other than this, literally everything else I freaking loved so much. This has become one of my favorite reads, actually. And as soon as I finished it, I had immediately started recommending it to people. Can't wait to get my hands on a physical copy. I want to reread this and annotate. I need to annotate this bitch. That's it though, that's the challenge. If you're interested and you just watch me on here, don't follow me on TikTok or anything, then this is lovely Sabrine's TikTok, and I had recommended her to read Archer's Voice, which is my baby. If you don't know, I freaking love Archer's Voice. It is different than what she usually reads, but I cannot wait to see her reaction. We haven't talked about this before because of me. I got sick. I'm sorry for the delay, but yeah, this is the baby, and she's not mostly into romance, and I wasn't until Archer's Voice. So I can't wait to see what she thinks. Most likely we're gonna have a live together where we're going to talk about these books in more detail. Other than that though, that was so fun. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for reaching out to me, and thank you so much for the idea, and thank you so much for this. It was really fun, and it was very, very interesting and entertaining talking to you through reading the book, and I can't wait to talk more about them. Other than that though, thank you so much for watching. I love you. I'm gonna see you next video.